Countdown 3. Hey everybody, it's Tim English from Real Hooligans.
And I'm Lonita Cook from KCTV5 and BlackBeatBus.com.
What we want to do is introduce you to the Kansas City Film Critics Circle, the different members around town, and be able to share their thoughts on new movies, because that's one thing we do have right now is some new movies, new content.
Lots of content, lots of movies. I mean, I think there's been an explosion of content with the streaming, with the ready access. So thank you for coming to us to review the movies. All right, Tim, tell them what movies we're going to talk about today.
Today we're going to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon, which is on Disney Plus.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Coming to America,
That's right.
or you are at least, which is available on Amazon Prime. And we're also going to talk about SpongeBob on the
Run, which is the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. Is
that on Paramount Plus?
Paramount Plus is coming. So Paramount Plus, what did they give us? A bunch of Super Bowl commercials? That's when I first heard of this Paramount Plus come in, and all the great commercials. And so they're bringing us 2 spinoffs from SpongeBob SquarePants, and one of them is this movie.
Which one do you want to do first, Raya?
Well, let's start with Raya and the Last Dragon. So I heard the Last Dragon, I was like, because you know what I think of when I think of Last Dragon.
Please tell me Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy, direct to your pizza to Daddy Green's Pizza.
Yes, show enough.
Show enough.
A smug girl, all right.
Why are you here, Divine Water Dragon?
Isn't that obvious, big guy? My girl Raya and I are gonna fix the world. Let's catch you up.
You have a young warrior who is trying to bring back. She's trying to bring back the last lost dragon line that was lost because of a. It reminded me of the Nothing from Neverending Story. It was just kind of like an evil that consumes everything and turns it to stone. And her people and her area have just kind of suffered for years because of this curse. And she thinks if she brings back a dragon, she can end the curse and unite her people.
Yeah, so it's a mythical land called Kumandra, and it is the water in the center of the land is shaped like a dragon. And there are, 5 tribes that live on the land around this body of water shaped like a dragon. And something happens to create strife among these people.
This young girl, voiced by Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico in the Star Wars sequels, and Awkwafina. I mean, she's
everywhere.
The dragon that she comes across, she is just wonderful. She's one of those, when she shows up, I'm like, all right, I'm a little bit more invested now because she's fun to watch. She just has such a distinct voice that.
Great voice, just a little bit husky, just enough husky. Yeah,
a little raspy. She's fun. So the story was pretty basic, but the animation's wonderful, I thought. Which I mean, by basic I just mean it's stories that have been told before. There wasn't a whole lot new, but I thought it was a lot of fun though.
I was expecting that, of course, they would use color and magic and the lure of different people to kind of bring this story together. And I was a little bored until about midpoint.
Sure.
Yeah. It was, like you said, it was basic. There was it seemed to be very exposition heavy. We're being told a lot of things. And
a lot of history.
They
have to go into a lot of story, and a lot of it's these make-believe worlds, so there's a lot of like backstory into the lands, into the people, into the tribes, the dragon lore, So yeah, it's like a good 45 minutes of exposition, but
Fellow Kansas City Film Critics Circle member and board member Simone Wilson of the Courier Tribune and the Gladstone Dispatch says, Disney ups the animation ante once again with Raya and the Last Dragon. The sets are realistic, the storyline is contemporary, and the lead character actually has acting skills.
yeah.
Observable gestures and facial nuances that had me taking notes on her performance instead of just her dialogue or well-placed pixels. Raya is also a welcome story of hope and coming together in the face of, until recently, unimaginable tragedy.
Well, I agree.
Well,
It's a beautiful,
yeah,
it's a beautiful movie. I thought so. And
well,
Kelly Tran was great. Yeah.
yeah. The vocal acting was great. I actually had the opposite reaction to the actual acting. I was like, why are they making this chick be like a classically trained actor? I mean, she was like doing all kind of. I was like, wait a minute. So that was the only place where I disagreed because Simone and I, have very similar tastes and but that was one thing that kind of threw me there, especially during the heavier moments in the movie, and they have Raya, breaking down, and they're using posture. They really are dipping into an actor's toolkit, which is gesture and all these things, right? And it threw me off a little bit. It was noticeable, and when it's noticeable, I don't think it works. Let me ask you: did you see 1988's Coming to America?
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Okay.
The original is a classic. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think it's work like that makes Eddie Murphy a living legend. We love Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, all these people because of this movie. And I've said to you multiple times, and you and I've known each other for a long time, Coming to America is my all-time favorite princess movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. It's an all-time classic. Absolutely.
So did they need this sequel? I'm terrible at math. I'm terrible at math, Tim. How long has it been since 1988? Did we need
33 years? 33 years since the original. I don't think there's a need for any sequel. But unfortunately, we are in the day and age where reboots, or not even reboots, it's just like it's like revisits now. It's like these movies that are going back, like last year with Bill and Ted, and just kind of going back and just doing another mindless chapter with characters that are favorites. But I didn't get to see this one. Coming to
I did get to see this one. I'll be honest with you, I was surprised to have enjoyed it. I was very nervous going into it, if they were going to mangle our hearts, because I think Coming to America
1988
has a special place in just about everybody's heart. I mean, it's one of the most quotable movies of all time.
Oh, yes.
Hell yes. I hold it up there with Princess Bride, with just these delicious quotable lines, right? So I thought, oh my goodness, I'm gonna cross my fingers for this one. I rather enjoyed it.
That is so good to hear. So how was Eddie and how was the chemistry between those two? Because I always thought they were so great together.
Eddie and Arsenio Hall?
Yeah.
Soon Nextdorian warriors will assassinate me. I have a child on the other side of the world.
Take heart in your grief. You are king now. Be as your father. Bark orders at me. Throw things at me. It will make you happy.
Prepare the royal jet. We are going back to America.
Oh, hell no, your majesty.
Eddie and Arsenio Hall, because Arsenio Hall, I mean, I think we forget how great he was at one time. How funny he was.
Simi, yes.
He was at the top of the of that comedian chart, back in the 80s.
Absolutely.
Early 90s.
Yeah. Arsenio Hall is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, he is one of the all-time greats. I think that he has been underrated in his career, even back then. Everybody talk about Richard Pryor, talk about Eddie Murphy, talk about Red Fox, and nobody's putting Arsenio Hall in that league, and so I agree with you. He is absolutely underrated. And I think a little bit is because of his personality, that great personality that he brought to the Arsenio Hall show with the woo, 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 woo. I think that's a part of what made him family friendly, that made him kind of held him back during that era, in terms of his wide reputation as a comedian. I thought they were great together. I thought they were great together in the original. They're great together in this one. I will say Arsenio Hall isn't in it as much, where in the original, they're, hip to hip.
Yeah.
And this one, Prince Hakeem is King Hakeem. And he is a husband and he is a father. So they went more that route. I don't want to spoil it for you, because I do actually think, you're going to watch it. You're going to find some things questionable. People are finding some things questionable, but I had no expectation. I only had hopes going into it. And I let myself enjoy it. One thing that I did notice, and this is another movie where they're making cultural comparisons with Zamunda to Wakanda. Mm-hmm. And I think that they put a little taste in there to let you know Zamunda got this. Okay. And for Coming to America, Dan Liebarger of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette and the Pitch Weekly says, Coming to America, thankfully, doesn't simply coast on the goodwill of the previous film, but there's still a sense that Brewer and company could have found more treasure in Zamunda. With a little more imagination, they could have mined something as valuable as Wakanda's vibranium. You know what I love about Dan Liebarger? He knows how to give you the business.
He will give you the business. I will say that about Dan.
He will give you the business. He said they could have mined something as valuable. They could have, but they didn't.
Yeah, and that's honestly a lot of what what Dan said was what I expected going into this. I expect to like it and enjoy it, but also just as a writer myself, to be able to watch and go, oh, they probably could have, used this a little bit more, or gone that route, or, they really missed an opportunity with this, or, they played it too safe here or there or whatever. But that's good to hear Dan enjoyed it. Dan's a good writer, and
Dan is an incredible writer.
He's a good movie guy.
He's a great movie guy. I think his ability to hold on to the details, I said, I got to give me some of that, because the older I get, the more, elusive my memory becomes. And so I really appreciate his ability to hold on to those details and utilize them in his work. Now, did you watch SpongeBob SquarePants for years, or did your kids grow up on it?
Well, I've got 3 kids that are between 15 and 21 now, and they all grew up watching SpongeBob SquarePants, and they still every now and then go through nostalgic rewatches with it, where they'll watch it on Nickelodeon. But now with Paramount Plus coming out, they're pretty stoked to be able to go back and see every episode, because I'm not sure every episode's been available. I may be wrong about that, but they're excited, even though. So I mean, it's always kind of been on, that voice, that opening theme. It's always kind of been in the background somewhere at our house, kind of throughout the years. So
So they do, not only do they have the movie, but they do have the series spinoff. And I know you didn't get the chance to see any of that.
Right.
Do you think your kids who do have that nostalgic feeling would be interested in joining a prequel, anew, like starting a new relationship with a prequel?
I don't think so. And honestly, because of something we talked about last night, and that's just kind of the controversy about how the show is just kind of against the creators' wishes, who passed away just a couple of years ago, for any like reboots or sequel shows. And it was actually kind of the first thing that one of them said to me when I was like, yeah, this movie's kind of like this weird backdoor pilot for the TV, because it does like have like a 15-minute period where they go back to Camp Coral or whatever.
Yes.
And at one point I was just like, did I switch over to the other screeners? It's like the movie seems to have gotten diverted here. But I said someone who was like, oh, they all kind of mentioned it, so probably not. But they are, looking forward to seeing the show again, and they'll probably watch the
movie.
I think they'll watch this for the tumbleweed.
The tumbleweed was amazing. I mean, the cameos were awesome. I mean, you got well, I won't spoil the cameos, but I will say Nunu is in it. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Just call him the tumbleweed from now on.
The tumbleweed.
I mean, you know who I'm talking about. When you see the movie, you'll be like, he's the king of cameos right now, I think. So
yeah, he is. I do have to mention, in terms of this movie, the animation, the CGI that they use, I thought it was strikingly beautiful. Because it was a little bit, it just was so rich and textured. It was a little bit, I don't know, like it felt a little 3D or something. Yeah. It was, I can't tell you what it was doing to my brain, but I kind of blinked like, what is this? Is it claymation? Is it like, it made me think I rather enjoyed looking at it.
Yeah. The last couple of movies have used that, the computer 3D kind of animation, as opposed to the hand-drawn art style that the show typically put on. I thought it was, for me, there were times where I liked it, and there were times where I was just like, it just doesn't look the same, or like the character wouldn't quite look right. But thankfully, having all the voices in there from those characters, Tom Kenny, Bill Fagerbakke, Clancy Brown, they're all just so amazing, and it's just, they're iconic voices. I mean, honestly, Clancy Brown's amazing. He's one of those guys that he's in like way more things than you would ever realize that you have seen him in or heard him in. The list just goes on and on. But yeah, so that for me was fun. Just hearing him laugh sometimes it's always gonna be, as a parent, even just nostalgic. So it reminds me of my kids in the background doing stuff.
It's one thing that I really enjoy about SpongeBob. It was after I was watching cartoons. Like, I was no longer watching cartoons when SpongeBob came out, but my children did watch. And so it was in the background. I knew all the words to the theme song. I'd walk around the house. Oh, who lives in a, like, I was in it for, but I haven't seen so much of it, and so I think I was able to kind of enjoy the movie for what the movie was, sure, and kind of be excited for where Paramount is headed with their new streaming platform. So before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, why are you a critic? Both of us belong to this professional film critics organization. We are representatives of professional critic, our industry. Why do you do it?
Well, for me, being a film critic allows me to study film on a little bit more of through a technical viewing eye than most people would. It helps me understanding films today, film history, having discussions with people about movies. Like you and I have had some amazing discussions. But also, just to be able to have when somebody needs an opinion, and because people don't necessarily like to hear what a critic thinks, but they sometimes want an opinion from someone they trust. And so I like to be smart about it. I studied film, and it's fun to sit down and really just kind of analyze. And I like to rewatch movies and look at different things each time. Acting, production design, music. Yeah. How about yourself?
So for me, I do it because I like to watch movies, and I feel guilty when I just sit there and watch movies, or I watch TV primarily for pleasure, like just totally. But I watch movies back to back. Like I sit down and I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna watch this, and I watch one movie 3-4 times.
No shame in that.
No shame in that.
Man.
But it feels good to be able to say I'm not wasting time because I'm a professional movie critic.
Hey, you follow work and it just makes it okay.
That's right. That is our time. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who's watching for coming to us to review the movie.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
That victory belongs to me!